Alright guys, welcome to the second video in our series on Unholy Death Knight guides and tips and tricks for Season 2 of Dragonflight. So in this dungeon we will be doing a 17 Underrot, as you can see here. This is one of the easier dungeons we have this season. So this first pull here, we have a Fetid Maggot, a Matron, a couple Blood Priests, and a couple Headhunters. The biggest danger points here is the Maggot has a Rotten Biocast right there, which is a giant frontal, does a lot of damage. You can displace, stun, or blind that to get rid of that frontal. You'll want to be kicking the Priest's Blood Bolts, and then you'll want to be watching out for the Matron's Charge and Cleave that she has, as well as stopping any of the Headhunter's Barbed Spears or Hooked Snares that you can. Big things here are just watching out for the Cleave, kicking the Priest, and then watching out for the Maggot's frontal. That's it for this first pull here. We're going to fast forward a little bit here. Up next, just kind of the same pack, just without the Maggot. We just have a Headhunter, a Priest, and a Matron. So just dodge Cleaves, kick the Blood Hunter, or not the Blood Hunter, the Blood Priest, and stop the Headhunter's cast if you can. This next pack has a great thing you can immune as a Death Knight. So the Befouled Spear, the big giant tiki head in the middle, casts Dark Omen, as you can see right now. So if you see this being cast on you, you can pre-AMS it and completely immune the ability. You won't get the dot on you, you won't get the pulsing AoE on you or anything. So definitely keep an eye out for that. Great thing that a Death Knight can immune in this dungeon. For the rest of this pull, you're just kicking the Blood Priests, and I guess stopping any spears that you can from the Headhunters. Big thing there being, though, that Befouled Spirit Dark Omen, you can pre-AMS that and completely negate that ability. Moving on to Elder Leaxa, the first boss here, probably one of the easiest bosses in the entire game. He is pretty much a complete joke. Her first ability, Sanguine Feast, that small 4-yard radius ability underneath her, just don't step in it. Her second ability being the same cast that the Blood Priests have, which is that kick. And the other ability you just saw go out, Creeping Rot, it's just a giant frontal magic damage ability, just dodge that. A big thing you can help your team out with as a Death Knight here is she summons a mirror image of herself. You can Death Grip that mirror image to wherever the boss is to ensure that you are always cleaving down both the ad and the boss at the same time. And then besides that, you just rinse and repeat. Dodge the frontals, kick, and like I said, the big Death Knight specific thing here is Death Gripping that ad in so that your team can be cleaving the entire time. You kill the ad very quickly, kill the boss quickly, and then that's it for this boss. Like I said, one of the easiest bosses we have this entire season. Moving into the Cragmaw arena, as I call it. There's actually a lot going on in this room, but as a Death Knight, it's a lot of things you can do to help your team out. So you have Living Rots, Diseased Leeches, or Diseased Lashers, and Feral Bloodswarmers here, as well as some Fetid Maggots. So you'll be wanting to, again, stop the Fetid Maggot frontal with any grips, stuns, or blinds you have. Diseased Lashers, you'll be wanting to kick Decaying Mind. And Living Rots, you'll just be wanting to dodge their Wave of Decays and Foul Sludges they drop on the ground. And that's all there is for that first pull there. Moving into the second pull, we have another new enemy, the Feral Bloodswarmer. So this one has two abilities. The first being Sonic Screech, you'll want to kick that. It's a silence, so you definitely want to focus on that. And then the second one being Thirst for Blood, where they fixate a random person. As you can see, the Bloodswarmer was running over to my Boomy there, right here actually. And I Death Grip him in, or I Slappy Hands him in, one of the two. So that's one thing you can really help out your ranged players with, is you can just Death Grip in the Bloodswarmers, as well as using Chains of Ice on them. Definitely utilize that in this dungeon. It helps your ranged out a lot if you Chains of Ice and slow them, which I do a bad job of right here. I do it a little later on. I also show you why you should never have your camera in the wall, as I eat a frontal right there. In that like 1 or 2 seconds my camera was in the wall, frontal completely dead. But again, for the most part in this area, the biggest thing you can do as a Death Knight is help your team out with these Feral Bloodswarmers. I definitely emphasize that a lot. Throw Chains of Ice out whenever you can. We were having a pretty easy time this run, so it wasn't really on my mind too much, but when you're pushing, you definitely want to throw Chains out. It helps your ranged out a ton. Throw Chains, Death Grip that guy in, you can stun them, you can blind them, any CC you have to stop that fixate. Here he's on me, so you just see me kiting him. I throw a Chains out right there. Finally, in the last pack, this was on me probably. But like I said, this dungeon wasn't too much of a problem, so I wasn't too worried about throwing out that many chains. Alright, now we have Cragmaw the Infested. So for this boss, you want to be positioned between him and the ribcage, as he has an ability called Charge right there, where he charges at you. He drops a bunch of ticks on the ground. You'll want to step all over those so they don't spawn any adds. The other ability he has is right here. He casts Indigestion on the tank, which is just a frontal. Does a ton of magic damage. If you're going to eat it for some reason, which you shouldn't, you can AMS it to help negate some of that magic damage, but just don't eat it. Again, try to send charges into the wall or the ribcage right here, so all the ticks fall in just around your team. And in a couple seconds here, he'll cast Tantrum, which is his phase, where he just goes running into the middle of the room, has a giant temper tantrum, throws out a bunch of ticks. There's a case to be made for this dungeon to take Wraith Walk, so you have some movement speed to run around and step on these ticks before they spawn. If not, just save all your Death's Advanced charges and use them here so that you can run all over those so no adds spawn that start eating your tank up. Then you'll want to try to aim charges back towards the ribcage to eventually position him back over there. And on Tyrannical, this fight lasts a lot longer, so you definitely want to try to keep him in that corner to get all the ticks as you can over there, so he's not just running around the room throwing ticks everywhere. It becomes quite a pain to try to play catch up here. Luckily, we had a Demon Hunter and a Boom Mage, so they can jump around pretty easily to step on a lot of these ticks. Alright, moving into this next area, the area before third boss, we have a bunch of Guardians and a Death Speaker here. The Death Speaker, you will be wanting to kick his one ability. What is it called? I believe Wicked Frenzy. There it is right there. And then you also have Worms. You'll want to kick Void Spit, and a very big emphasis on kicking Dark Echoes. That's a big channeled AoE damage ability. If it's getting out for some reason, again, you can AMS it. It's magic. If you're a Frost Death Knight watching this for some reason, or a Blood Death Knight, you can control undead, a Death Speaker or a Guardian. But as Unholy, you definitely won't want to do that because your regular pet is all of your damage. Fast forward here a little bit, just another pull, the Death Speaker, a bunch of Guardians. Speed it up, and this pack just absolutely melts. Pretty easy pull right there. Next to pull the Bloodsworn Defilers. This is a very kick-heavy pull and mob. They have Withering Curse and Shadowbolt Volley. Withering Curse is just huge priority. It's just a massive ability that does a ton of AoE damage to your party. Again, Shadowbolt Volley, same thing. If for some reason Withering Curse is going to get out, you can pre-AMS it so you don't get any of the dot stacking on you. But like I said, it shouldn't get out. If it gets out, especially on a fortified, it's going to hurt a lot. You guys also summon Totem, as you saw a couple times there. Just get out of it. Sporecaller Zancha, this next third boss here. A couple things you can do as a Death Knight here to really help your team out. The main mechanic here is you have all these mushrooms around. To get rid of them, he casts Shockwave as well as Upheaval on a few players. You'll want to destroy as many of these mushrooms as possible, because once he casts Festering Harvest, he blows the mushrooms up, and for every mushroom alive, it puts a dot on you, or on your whole party, and does damage. As well as throughout the fight, he sends those spores around, which I did a very bad job of dodging right there. Both the spores, if they touch you, and the mushrooms when they explode when he casts Festering Harvest, will put a dot on you. So if you see mushrooms alive or you're going to eat a spore, you can pre-AMS it so that you immune the dot and don't get the dot on you. Ideally, you just do this, you dodge all of them, it's not a problem, but if for some reason you're going to eat one, say it's a Storming Week, you get knocked up, just pre-AMS it and then you will not get the dot on you. It helps your healer out a lot. You also get in a bind with your team, you can drop an AMZ here. I didn't need to, but never forget about AMZ, it's a very powerful ability. And as you can see as a theme, these first two videos, there's a lot of AMS usage. Like I was saying in the original guide that I made, if you don't really never need to use Lichborn or Icebound Fortitude if you're playing correctly. At least until you're pushing very high keys. For the most part, you can get away with AMSing a lot of abilities, and that'll be fine for pushing. Running into this next area, a couple more Defilers, a couple more Horrors you have to fight. To repeat, just kick Withering Curses, kick Spits, kick Shadowbolt Volleys, Dark Echoes, pretty much it. This pull a Death Speaker and a Horror, get kicked on the Death Speaker, kicked on the Horror. and just cleave everything down. Another pretty easy pull right here. This entire dungeon is honestly quite easy. Here we have a new enemy, the Faceless Corruptor. As you can see, he has 2 abilities. Maddening Gaze right here. It's a gigantic frontal, does a ton of damage, and fears you. If for some reason you're going to be hit by it, you can pre-AMS it, take down some of the damage. You also don't get the fear if you AMS it. His second cast, you can see right there, Abyssal Reach summons 3 tentacles, which will slam on players. The next one, I believe I eat, you can see how much damage it does, so you definitely do not want to get hit by that. But yeah, you just dodge Mad Gazes, you dodge the slams right there. As you can see, it 90%'d me. Might have 100%'d me if Blood Draw hadn't a procced, actually. So there's a perk using Blood Draw right there, as I said in my first video. This next pull, just 2 Corruptors and the Horror. Again, another very easy pull. Well, actually, probably one of the harder pulls in the dungeon, just because you have 2 sets of Maddening Gazes and Abyssal Slams to be dodging, as well as kicks on the Horror. And there we go, we're already done with the whole dungeon. That's all the trash. On to the last boss, a couple things you can not necessarily pre-AMS, but there's a lot of magic damage on this boss, so be sure to utilize your AMZ and your AMS as your healer calls out, or as you see fit to help your team. The way this boss works is you fill up his energy bar instead of taking down his health. Whenever his energy bar fills up, it summons 2 Blood Visages, I believe they're called. Each of them do like 17 or 18% of his health, so you have to spawn 3 sets of Visages in order to kill the boss eventually. As you can see, he has Vile Eruption cast, and this Cleansing Light cast removes any stacks of the stack of dot that he places on you. You get stacks of that dot by stepping in stuff on the ground, by being hit by those rotting spores that are flying around. And you just use that cleanse to both cleanse your teammates and cleanse the stuff on the ground. So, again, another pretty easy fight as long as you position well. You just dodge frontals, cleanse the ground, try to stack up those puke on the ground as much as you can. I ate a spore right there. But that's pretty much it for this fight. Again, a very simple fight. The Titan goes around one-shotting Blood Visages, so you don't really have to worry about them. You can cleave them down to help speed up the fight a little bit. Definitely would if they're near you. But you just focus most of your damage into this boss to fill up his energy bar so he spawns those Visages for you. And that's pretty much this entire dungeon. Like I said, it's a very easy dungeon. Quite a few things that we can immune with AMS here, which is good for us. A bunch of utilization of Death Grip in this dungeon, as well as all the stops that you have. Not much knockbacks for Death's Advance to take advantage of, just running around to pick up ticks on Cragmaw. And yeah, there it is. That's that whole dungeon. So thank you guys for watching. Please, please, please leave any feedback in the comments on what you want to see in these guides. If you think the guides are going well, if you don't, any feedback is greatly appreciated. Yeah, leave a like, comment, subscribe, and I'll talk to you guys later. Thanks for tuning in.